Good afternoon. My name is Morakinyo Animasaun, and I'm the CEO of Wimika RMS Technologies. Wimika is a specialist in SureTech that has a special focus on solving the problem of cyber fraud in Nigeria and then across Africa after Nigeria. We pride ourselves as being the first and last line of defense against cyber fraud, and as I go on in the presentation, you'll understand why. So, almost everybody knows somebody or knows about somebody that's been a victim of cyber fraud. Okay? In the next slide, I'm going to be sharing with you some statistics. But beyond the statistics, I want you to imagine the people behind those statistics, the real lives that have experienced disruptions, that have experienced pain. So over 25 million bank customers in Nigeria have been victims of cyber fraud. 95% of them never ever recovered the money they lost. And from beginning of 2023 to now, over 9.5 billion naira has been lost already. Okay, the interesting bit of that data that's not there is that this is underreported data. So it's actually much higher than this. So what's our solution? What are we doing about it? We protect individual customers of banks and financial services from cyber fraud, and in a case where they fall victim, we reimburse them within 7 days. How do we do that? This is the product. It's called MoneyGuard. It's a comprehensive cyber fraud protection product that is embedded in the banking app, so that it sits in the banking app, and because it sits in the banking app, our advanced technologies can actually prevent fraud before it happens. And that also gives us to a lot of data concerning the customer that helps us to protect the customer. Our competitors. There is no direct competitor in the market. There is no one-to-one competitor. But there are lots of different people that do different bits of what we do. So you've got coalition. Most of them are foreign. The one that will probably interest you the most will be Curacell and Leadway Assurance, which are Nigerian. Okay, so we've also learned from Leadway. Leadway introduced a product to the Nigerian market about 2 years ago called a cyber insurance product. But Leadway targeted the high net worth individuals for that product. And Leadway did not sell one policy. We learned from that, because from our engagements with the banks, we learned that when a high net worth individual has a problem, a cyber fraud problem, the banks are very eager to reimburse them. So it's really the people in the mass market that suffer cyber fraud, and they find it difficult getting refunds or reimbursement from the bank. And that's the segment we have targeted. What's our advantage? Okay, so number one is that we have a unique approach to the problem. We have taken it from a different direction from everybody else. The banks are investing on enterprise cyber fraud, but they are looking at it from inside out. We are looking at it from outside in. Okay, we are focused on the consumer. We are not focused on the enterprise. We have combined a number of different things. So we call it prevention plus cure. So we try to prevent you from becoming a victim, but if you become a victim, then we provide a cure for you, which is the reimbursement. And in addition to that, we have a system where all the data we gather about prevention and incidents are fed back into our technology. And then, of course, this last bit is the impact bit. So we've just integrated the impact into our approach to the solution. Okay, and then more about our advantages. We have a cyber fraud protection ecosystem. So we are not just providing a product. We are building an ecosystem. Okay, we built a relationship with the police force, Nigerian police force. FCCPC is a partner. Ministry of Justice is a partner. So what we've done is we've looked at cyber fraud end to end, and we are trying to create a system that allows prevention to be much better, and if prevention fails, allows the process of redress to be as seamless as possible for the victims. And then again, our distribution model. Distribution is key to consumer products, and in this case, what we've done is by building a digital product that's embedded with the bank itself, it allows us to easily access the bank's customers and distribute through the bank channels. And what this does for us is that it reduces our cost of customer acquisition quite dramatically. I've talked about the comprehensive nature of what we're doing. And then one of the things that's also interesting is that we built a proprietary risk model while we were doing this. And what that does is that a lot of people know about cyber fraud problem. A lot of people are interested in solving the problem, especially the insurance companies. One of the major reasons they've not been able to solve the problem is because they don't know how they can quantify the risk and price the risk. Our proprietary risk model allows us to both quantify the risk of individuals and price it. And we also have access to unique data. So I talked about advantage. If I come to this slide, I'll probably say this is probably one of our biggest advantages. We have a very, very experienced team, okay, that have, and each member of the team has expertise in domains that are related to what we're doing. So when you look at our executive team, for instance, we've got over a century of experience in all the areas that relate to the solution or the product that we are providing. In addition to that, we've been able to put together a very strong advisory team of very experienced and accomplished individuals. Time does not permit, but there are details for those that may want to see. Okay, so what's the market size like? Okay, so right now in Nigeria, at least as at October 2023, there were 58.99 million unique consumer bank accounts across all the banks. And out of that 58.99 million, which we estimate to just be 59 million. Okay, I'm sure it's much beyond that now. What we've done is that we've done our cost and we are expecting an ARPU of $10 per customer, okay, averagely, okay? And that is how we arrived at the figure of 590 million, okay? Out of the 58.9 or 59 million, one of the things we've done is to dig deeper into the figure and remove the top 5% from that figure and say that the top 5%, this product is not for them. And then we also remove the bottom 15%, because the bottom 15% is struggling with too many things and they are not going to be willing to pay for any extra service. So it's the middle 80% that we actually see as the serviceable, addressable market. And out of that middle 80%, because we are first movers, because we are a pioneer, we expect that we've got the opportunity to take about 25% of that market. It's not just a Nigerian problem, it's a global problem. And we arrived at the global figure the same way we arrived at the Nigerian figure. There are about 1.2 billion account holders in developmental markets. So what's our business model? Our business model is B2B2C. And the key pillars of that model is our distribution, which I've already mentioned. We are distributing through the banks. The banks serve as our strategic and distribution partners. Our revenue is going to be subscription-based. Each individual will pay for their subscription, and there are different tiers for that subscription. Initially, we plan for it to be annual, and in future, we intend to introduce quarterly and monthly payment. And then the last bit of our model is our impact initiative, which is basically putting together business growth and SDG, to drive the business. So this is our impact project. It's called Stronger Together Against Cyber Fraud. It is a strategic initiative designed to drive the business growth through these three methods: with advocacy, community, and our helpline. These are some of the SDG goals that our businesses directly impact. So for our theory of change, we are given a $1 million grant to run a pilot just to prove our theory of change. And with that $1 million, this is what our expectations were. These were our objectives: to improve cyber fraud awareness, provide post-incident support, facilitate recovery of lost funds for victims, reduce cyber fraud incidents, attract potential partners and customers, and basically boost our brand visibility and reputation. These are the things we did during our pilot activities. We did advocacy. Under our advocacy pillar, We had appearances in 7 radio stations and 3 TV stations. We hosted 4 episodes of something we call My Cyber Fraud Story, which is really getting people that have been victims of cyber fraud to come and speak about their cyber fraud incidents. Okay, that is really very important to us because it allows us to humanize the victims of cyber fraud. We don't leave them just as statistics. Apart from humanizing them, it also amplifies their voice and it teaches others about what somebody else has experienced. And we were also able to secure valuable partnerships to help enhance our value and extend our reach. For the community, we built a platform that's very alive and active, and we have a helpline that people have been calling into and getting help. These are our traction so far. At this point, we have 2 banks that we are running, that we started running pilots with. We have 2 insurance partners we have secured. We have a pending approval with FCCCP that suddenly became a full approval. When we started this impact case, we were able to reach over 2 million people through our advocacy. We saved somebody from losing 1 million naira during this period. We grew our community from 0 to 500, and a few of the other things that we did. So I'll end with this. These are impact testimonials. There was a man that called into our helpline a couple of days ago, and he had already paid 270,000 naira to an organization that promised that they would get him a Canadian visa. And he was supposed to pay an additional 1.13 million immediately. And then somebody advised him to call our helpline. He called our helpline. By the time the operative spoke with him, the operative knew that it was a scam and helped to guide him away from making that payment. So we saved that man 1.13 million naira. Then there's also the case of Abraham, who had an incident with his bank. Well, we'll talk about that as we go along. Okay? So these are some of our partnerships. This is our ask. Basically, we're asking you for 9 million naira to help to integrate, operationalize, and scale stronger together against cyber fraud over the next 12 to 18 months. And these are the things we intend to do with the 9 million naira. We intend to hire a dedicated project manager, set up and support local online communities in 109 senatorial districts across Nigeria. Progressively localize content, because a lot of the content we are using now is not local, it's English. We want to localize the content into various Nigerian languages. We want to extend our cyber fraud advocacy to other states. This pilot was mainly about Lagos. And then we want to adapt and co-produce and syndicate our cyber fraud story, because radio stations seem to be very interested in that. Lastly, we intend to secure partnerships with additional organizations that have shown interest in what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
So I know what cybersecurity is and all the rest of it, but I think for a user or someone you're trying to sell it to, it will go way above their head, 1. 2, I think what you're selling is based a lot on trust, and you might need more partnerships with like government, or banks, so that is believable for your client or your customer. Because personally, if you try to sell this to me, you're talking to Wema and one other bank, but it's not a sale deal. So why should I believe that Wimika is not going to steal my own money, is what I'm thinking. And then I would like to just hear the story on how did you save the 1 million? What was it? And how did you grow the community? What's the community about? What does the community look like?
Okay, so the community is basically a place where we do a number of things. 1, we try to educate people about cyber fraud. We bring experts and our partners from the police force and other organizations.
Is it like a town hall situation, or is it on a WhatsApp?
It's an online community.
Okay, so online on where? Like Telegram or WhatsApp? Okay.
Yeah.
And then one other thing, the breakdown of the 9 million. You said the series of things you wanted to do, but how much did this series of things cost in relation to the 9 million?
Okay, I didn't break it down into what they cost. Yeah, I didn't do that. Okay, but addressing the issue of trust, that's the reason why we are partnering with banks. Wema and Fidelity are index banks, but they are not the only banks we are talking to. We have a pipeline of at least 6 other banks that we are speaking to right now, and we intend to take each of them one step after the other.
All right. To be clear, you don't have any users now?
No, we don't have any users.
That's what takes away every other question I wanted to ask. So then just that's sorry. The one thing then it goes. So have you eaten any returns from one in the say just 1 million space?
The returns we got are the things I've mentioned to you.
No, but there was no money no revenue from that 1 million.
Revenue into the we are pre-launch. Okay, so we are not there.
So your 300 strong community.
500.
Well, this 0 to 300.
0 to 500.
Was 500
in 3 weeks.
Oh, well, yes, I knew there was 3 somewhere. Okay, so like what percentage of them
I've indicated
are active? And have you done any user research with them to see those who will be willing to pay? Have you done anything to help your
yes,
product
we have.
market fit?
Okay, so our engagement rate is about 57%. Okay, and from our survey, 82% indicated that they want to take up the service when it's active. 82. And in addition to that, we did a survey with the banks as well, where the banks themselves indicated that they expect the sign-up rate for their customers to range between, the lowest bank said 16% and the highest bank said 70%. Okay,
What's
so
your
averagely
pricing?
is 48%. Our pricing is between 500 naira to about 2,000 per month. Okay, but 6,000 a year to 2,004, 24,000, sorry.
Thank you very much. Yes, I really understand the product very well. So I'm coming from product perspective. And my first question would be, if you don't mind, walking me through how you integrate your product into the bank to help the customer not get defrauded of their money, So please.
Okay. So the kind of security that the banks have now is totally around the bank's perimeter. Okay, and every time a customer connects, that perimeter is extended. But the bank does not have any visibility or any influence over what is happening at the customer end. So basically what we're doing is we are integrating with the bank, and that integration with the bank gives us access to the bank side of the security. So part of what we do is transaction patterning, amongst other things. So we get all of that from the bank. But apart from that, then when the customer opts into our product, there is a product that's downloaded. The MoneyGuard product is downloaded on the customer system. So there's an interaction between the MoneyGuard product. It's an app. So it's an embedded app.
Embedded into the banking app.
But into the banking app
device.
It's embedded into the banking app. But when you opt in, you activate it and then you download onto your device.
Oh, then it's not embedded into the app. It's just the advert you get on the banking app that makes you download the app.
No, there are two integration parts. And what we found out is that some banks want we call one a full SDK option, and there's a light SDK. For the full SDK, it's totally wrapped up in the bank, and it could even be seen as a white label.
Yeah. So I understand that part. So that means that I would just suggest that the best approach would be that if you are working with your banks, now that you already know your market segment, you can let them know that the customers should ensure that they download this before they can use their app, so that in case if there's any fraud, it will no longer be their own fault because they did not download the app. So that kind of thing, just feedback.
Yes. So the bank, we part of what the plan is to co-market with the banks. Okay, so the banks are going to be driving that adoption. So
yes,
basically what's
your
going to
trust
happen
must be more between you, must be stronger between you and the bank.
Yeah, there's a strong, that's what we realized that's why we didn't go directly to the consumer. We realized that right from the beginning.
So if I open my GTBank app, it will ask me, have you downloaded your Wimika? If I have not, then anything that happens is no longer our concern. Me, I'll go and download it. That kind of. So the second question is, when you talked about the scam, I actually assumed it was if I'm using my USSD code or if I'm using my mobile app, the hackings that go around those things. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Until when you now said that you now did a survey and then people called in and you now explained to someone that, oh, this is a scam. He has not even conducted the transaction at all. You know, there's different kinds of scam. The one that you were deceived to and you now consciously paid the money out, and the one that you didn't even know, and the money is just coming out of your account. So which one are you solving?
The one we're solving is the first one you mentioned. So the other scenario that you painted is for the social impact, and that's for people that what we've decided to do with social impact is we intend to see them going forward as our non-paying customers. Okay, so they become like a funnel for us, to do some of the things. So we don't give them any guarantees. But for the people that are going to be using our services, one of the exciting technologies that the banks have found very exciting and they are very eager to adopt is the fact that even if somebody has your username and password, if it's not you, the person cannot gain access to your account. Okay, that's part of what our technology does. We do something called behavioral biometrics that allows us to, after a couple of days, know that this is the way you use your device. These are the things you do. And if somebody else that's different from you has your credentials, basically we can stop the person from gaining access to your accounts. And that's been a big problem for the banks because all the banks see is credentials. And if the credentials are correct,
they don't care. Yes, I do, because we work with the bank, so that's why I'm able to. So now, what's the best form of prevention? I think that you might have answered that question, because that question came from the other app, the other solution that you're giving, which you have clarified is not your real product, it's just the social impact side of your product. So I might say that we should not go there.
But I would like to answer that question if you allow.
Okay,
so the best form of prevention is education. So that's actually the earliest bit.
But you cannot educate the person that is app. Okay, well, you can too.
Yeah, it's actually part of the features in our product.
Wow.
Okay. Again, the banks try to educate, but one of the things we've been able to show them is that when they educate, they don't have any feedback. So they don't know, they send you email, they send you advisory, but they don't know whether you read it.
Yes.
They don't know whether you even saw it. They don't know whether you read it and you understood it. Okay, so those are some of the things that our product does. Okay, it not only provides training, it gamifies it so that people are encouraged to do that. And there's actually an incentive, because from after the first year, what people pay will be dependent on their risk profile. Okay, and we are going to measure that risk profile partially from how well they've taken this training and what the assessment says.
Yeah, so the risk profile now you're talking about is saying this customer, how much can they app this customer?
Yeah.
So like me now, because I'm tech savvy, I know that I should use my
your risk profile is 80% or something. Maybe somebody else, their risk profile is 60%. Okay, so as we go down the line, all that we factor.
And then that would work with insurance companies too, because now insurance companies can say, okay, we want people with risk profiles below this, above this, just because we don't want problems, right?
As I said, that's one of the biggest reasons why insurance companies have not been able to jump into the market. They recognize the problem,
but they don't know
how to quantify the risk. And if you can't quantify risk, you cannot price it. So what we've been able to do is bring everybody to a position where we can actually quantify risk and then allow them to price it. And two of our insurance partners are working right now on their pricing specifically for the risk.
I agree. So that means that they can vet me as a better
risk person or a low risk person, because my app already has Wimika that already protects me to an extent, and then I have the education because I've taken the survey. Oh, that's really very good. I think that's very good. So you said something about $10 per customer. Is it per month? Revenue per annum.
Per annum. Okay, that's good. So the B2B2C is through the bank, the distribution channel. But the B2C, the phone call was because it was a social impact.
And because we are not yet launched, and we don't expect everybody to be our customer. Okay, but we intend to show them some of the value of what we're doing, and that's one of the ways to show the value.
And I'm glad that you mentioned this. So this is just my own feedback. I'm glad that you mentioned that the best preventive measure is education. So I think that you can think through ways you can educate every one of us on these things in the best way that we will get that information.
Yes, I totally agree with you. What I would say again with cyber fraud, education is a layer, and generally with security, you have to do it in layers. So education is one layer, education can fail.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have instances of people that are very well educated. Somebody that was working in a fraud management team in a telecom company got defrauded. Why? His state of mind at that time. So there are many factors. You can be distracted. You can be busy. There are many things that come into play. And what we are trying to do is that irrespective of any of those things, we've got a layer that will try to prevent you from becoming a victim. And the clincher is that even if you do become a victim, there's a safety net for you.
Last question. Do you have an MVP?
Yeah, we've gone beyond
And it's
everything.
tested? No, I mean, so with your app is, you have an actual app now. Has it been tested?
We are integrating with the bank.
They have the SDK integrated, anything in the bank.
We are integrating with the bank right now.
There's no way they can talk to the bank without having that.